Hey everyone, welcome into the Flippin' Hippos YouTube channel. I'm Star. If you're new here or you haven't already, please consider subscribing. Don't forget to hit the thumbs up while you're listening today. And don't forget to join our Facebook group. It's called Flippin' Hippos Reseller Pod. It's a really positive atmosphere and a great place to learn and network with other resellers. Today we're doing the What Sold on Mercari monthly video. So we'll be looking at highlights of our sales from Mercari in January. And just like Poshmark, there used to be a time where I could show you all of our sales because we would just get a smattering of sales here and there on Mercari. But recently our Mercari has really picked up. And so I'm just picking out highlights so that we're not here all day. Things that I want to share with you, teach you about, show you stuff that you should be looking for when you're sourcing, and my mistakes and stuff. So whenever I say highlights, it's not just a highlight reel. I will pick out poop items to show you and my mistakes also. And then at the end of the Mercari, we're going to look at some of our Grailed sales. So these were all of our sales in January on Grailed. And that used to be what our Mercari would look like. That's every single sale from Grailed. And it's 8. So we used to do like 8 sales a month on Mercari. Then it picked up to like 16. Mercari used to be, it was kind of a platform I had a love-hate relationship, just like Poshmark. Then when I figured out how to properly list on there, and I stopped using their shipping. Their shipping is high. It's really ridiculous. And I think it turns buyers away. That's my opinion. When I started building the shipping cost into the price and offering free shipping on Mercari, I put my labels on Pirate Ship. We started making more sales. So our Mercari is doing just below what our Poshmark is now doing. Mercari used to be better than Poshmark. But Poshmark, again, is something we've learned how to better work with, have better processes. And that's just all a process of learning. We've been selling for 6 years. And we're still learning every day. We're still figuring out ways to get more sales and to be more productive and make our processes better. So you never stop learning. You never stop getting better. But I just wanted to put this out there, and I mentioned it in my What Sold on Poshmark video as well. If you're just getting started on these other platforms, if you're just branching out and cross-posting, and you're only getting a couple sales a month, that's normal. First of all, it takes time to build up a huge amount of active listings. The more you have listed, the more you're going to sell. The daily activity has to build up too. So if you just started on the platform and you've only been active every day for a month, you're not going to have as many sales after 6 months of consistency and 6 months worth of active listings. That makes sense? So it will build up. It will get better. And as you learn more and experience and experiment and all that, you'll figure out how to make more sales. But it is normal in the beginning. This is a really big month for us for Grailed. Grailed is one of those platforms. We'll sell 3 or 4 things on a month. It blew up in January, and I don't know why. We're going to look at those too. So let's start with the Plush, because they're my favorite. Melissa and Doug. This is a brand that makes toys and puzzles for kids. This little dog is a replacement piece for a playset for a veterinarian playset. I was going to say a playset for veterinarians, but I don't think actual veterinarians have playsets. So it's just like a little tiny replacement dog that goes with that set. And whenever you see stuff like this, you do want to pick it up, because anybody who has kids who has that vet set and loves to play with it and loses this dog, they're going to want to buy a replacement dog. So it sold for $12. Then we have Dora the Explorer. I dropped her price down to $7, just to get rid of her, honestly. In the beginning of January, when Keith and I first started talking about clearancing out our poop items and lowering the prices on them, she was one of my experiments. I sourced her in 2017. I know exactly when I sourced this Dora. I know exactly where I got her from. A thrift store that used to be one of our favorites that had 99-cent stays and closed down in 2018. And she had damage on her feet, you can see. So she's just been around too long, and she's got damage, and she wasn't moving. So I knocked her down to $7, and she sold overnight. And so that was kind of like what propelled us to start lowering our clearancing on our poop items. Not everything is going for $7. Not everything is that low. As I keep mentioning, I will be putting out a more extensive, in-depth video. I keep saying later this week because I record on Fridays, but it'll come out next week. I'll have a video talking about clearancing out the poop, sell-through rates, and then we'll do one on perceived value. But yeah, she sold overnight. So clearly this was something that was not going to sell unless it was dirt cheap because of what it is. Then we have a Peekahoo. We have a Pokemon Peekahoo. You see that? That's a typo. There's a funny story behind this typo. So this Peekahoo, I pulled from our inventory back in October when we were still in Florida and left him in my list perfectly cataloged so I could relist him later. But I ended him in all of the stores because he was part of my Pokemon trainer costume I wore at the Boss Reseller Remix when I went to Vegas. And when I went to relist him, I knew he had a typo. When I pulled him out, Keith giggled and said, "Is that a Peekahoo? Is he Pikachu's cousin? Is Peekahoo Pikachu's twin brother?" And we had a big laugh about it. And I said, "Yeah, I'll fix it when I put it back up." So I got back from Remix and I didn't relist him and I packed him up. And when we were unpacking and found him, I'm like, "Hey, he's still sitting in the list perfectly cataloged, like not on any of our stores. Let's go push him out." And I just pushed him out everywhere, like on Mercari, Poshmark, eBay, and Kitizen is where I sell our plush. He sold within 2 days. And he's a Peekahoo. So there's a lesson for you guys. If you know there's a typo, fix it when you notice it. Don't say you're going to do it later. Because I didn't catch it later. And I knew it was there. But I guess, something I noticed back in October after all the excitement of moving here and everything that's happened since. I just didn't remember. So this Peekahoo sold for $12. He is Pikachu's lesser known twin, guys. Well, what did you know? An Easter bunny. I'm always selling these Easter bunnies, right? Always selling the Easter bunnies. And sold for $12. Then we have, this Build-A-Bear. I love this Build-A-Bear. It came in a lot I got from American Thrift. Oh, I actually left her location tag. These are something I usually leave in the listing on List Perfectly. So I have it and I know where the animal is at in case anything happens with the skew line or whatever could happen. And I delete them as I list them. Sometimes they stay in. The box of American Thrift that I got back in Florida that I had ordered with Robert and we opened them together. This was one of mine out of that box. This was cute and I knew it was something special as soon as I opened it. This is a very special Build-A-Bear. Y'all know how I'm always harping on you that Build-A-Bear is a luxury stuffed animal and don't start your plain ones any lower than 18. Excuse me. This is an example of one that it's printed. It has a C print on the bear. It has an outfit on. It has a Nemo fish. And I know I always tell you too, strip your bears and sell them naked, with the exception of clearly this bear needs to be in a bikini. This is the beach bear. So I listed it for $30 and that's what I got for it. So don't be afraid to ask for what you think something's worth. This bear was definitely worth $30. We've got silver jeans sold for $35. This is for the buckle. These are Rider's jeans. So I don't really pick up Rider's jeans much anymore unless they're size 14 or bigger, and that only 99 cents. I wouldn't really pay more for that. But if they're 14 or larger, like especially when you get into size 18 and 20, 22, they're definitely worth it. Those ones can sell for like $25. Liz Claiborne Audra jeans. I don't source this brand. These came to me in a thread-up box. I would not source these off the rack. I'm going to tell you honestly, even if these were only 99 cents, I would leave these on the rack. But when I'm already paid all in for a whole box of denim to arrive right at my doorstep and it's convenient, I try to list every single thing out of the box. When you buy wholesale, you probably should do that unless it's absolute garbage or damaged beyond being able to sell. You should sell everything in there. You're going to have a lot of stuff in there that's going to make enough profit to pay for the box and the shipping, and then everything else is icing on the cake. Would I pick this up as a one-off at a thrift? No. If it came to me in a box, I'm listing it. I want to make as much money as I can off of my wholesale lots I buy. These, I want to say came from a ThredUp box, but it may have been another wholesale jeans lot I purchased. This is a brand I avoid as well. I leave this brand behind all the time. When I was first new to reselling and learning, I thought this was a great brand. And I bought so much of it from the bins. And then I went to like TJ Maxx and they had like everything on sale for like $2. And I bought a bunch of new tags and I learned very quickly, no, this is not a great brand. But again, came in a lot. I'm going to sell it. And these shipped first class as well. They were smaller. All right. Next up, we have a vintage USMC Semper Fidelis t-shirt. So this is an example of one of the items that we clearanced out. When we first got this, it's old. It's been around since maybe 2017, 18. When we first got this, even with the cracking on the graphic and the little hole there that we're showing, we comped it out around $25. And here it sat. So when we made the decision after Dora sold that quickly to just go in, I'm going in each day and lowering some prices, and I'll really go into depth in that other video because this is about not that. But this has been sitting for 5 or 6 years at $25. So knocked down 50%, put it up for $12, and it sold overnight. So things do change as time goes on. The value of certain items, certain brands definitely does go down. Do I need to tell you why? I'm going to tell you why anyway. Because turds race to the bottom. And the value of things can go down. So if stuff is really old, you may want to clearance it out. Sometimes you may want to check and see if the price has gone up, because that can happen too. It's less often. It's more rare, but sometimes for some reason the value of items can go up, and then let's just say that this was a $12 t-shirt and yours has been sitting there for a while, and suddenly these are now worth $25. Yours is looked at as, oh, what's wrong with that one? It's that perceived value, other side of the coin. So it is a good idea to clearance out old items, double check your comps once in a while if you have old stuff, and don't give me the, I don't have any old stuff because I'm not in the business of storage. Listen to me. If you sell plush or you sell clothing, you're in the business of storage. Unless you're selling highly sought after luxury items or vintage, but even then I think vintage is super duper long tail. Vintage is probably even more long tail than regular bread and butter volume selling, because it's high end, high dollar. You're waiting for that one right person willing to pay that high price tag on an item. But my point is, clothes have a very slow sell-through rate. There are very few brands or items out there that are quick to sell. I just redid my guide for 2023 with Keith. We have a clothing guide, we have a jeans guide, and we have a plush guide. And all three of our guides come with a spreadsheet with sell-through rates on them that we actually sit and research and update every single year for the upcoming year. We base our research on eBay sales and Terapeak, and we get a sell-through rate. And then we color code them so that people who buy the guide, if you want one, the links are down below, you can go buy one. But we color code the sell-through rates: red for slow, yellow for medium, and green for fast. And there's always been very little green, lots of yellow, and lots of red. Red is like 9 months or more. Yellow is like 6 to 9 months. And then if it's faster than that, it's green. When we were updating the 22 guide to 23, almost half of the green turned yellow and a lot of the yellow turned red. So the sell-through rates are getting even slower on clothing. I think it's because a lot more folks are selling clothing. It's oversaturated. So my point of this long-winded explanation is, if you sell plush, which is even slower to sell than clothing, or you sell clothing, you are in the business of storage if you want to have a good living, if you want to make this a full-time living, if you want to make a profit, if you want to make enough money to live on, you're going to have a bunch of listings, and you're going to have to sit on them because this is slow. It used to be at 2,000 active listings, we would sell 10 items a day. And that was pretty consistent from 17 through 20. In 2020, we were actually selling more like 12 to 15 a day. People were at home. They were getting free money from the stimmies. They were bored. They were shopping more. Post 20, it's been at half of what it used to be. That just seems to be the new norm. I was hoping it would change, but here we are 3 years later and it hasn't. I think that is the new normal. So if you have 2,000 active listings, you're going to be selling like 5 a day. 10 a day if you have higher end, more sought after items. But generally speaking, and I've been talking to a lot of my reseller friends about this, if you want to sell 10 items a day, you're going to have 4,000 listings now. And you're going to have somewhere to put them, and you're going to have a system, good inventory system in place. But if you have 4,000 items, then you're holding on to them. And that's where that mentality comes in. If I'm in the business of selling, not storage, we're all in the business of selling, but I want to give myself the best chance that I have. And if I have a wider net cast and I have more listings up than Joe and Bob, I'm going to sell more than Joe and Bob. I also understand the reality that most items are slow to sell. It's right there in, I was going to say black and white. It's right there in red, yellow, and green in my guide that me and Keith spent a whole month researching. Clothes are slow. If you want to sell clothes, you are going to be in the business of storing them until they sell. That is a soapbox I have not really ever gotten up onto on this channel, but I think it needed to be said. American Eagle Western shirt. This is a Pearl Snap. I love Pearl Snaps. Keith loves Pearl Snaps. Any brand. Of course, you know, your Eli Cattleman and Lucky Brand are going to go for more than your American Eagle. But if you see them and the price is right, like $1 or $2, you can absolutely grab them. This one sold for $15. American Eagle, favorite boyfriend. I love American Eagle. It's one of my favorite bread and butter brands. And boyfriend is a very good style to get. Boyfriend sells pretty quickly in any brand. Seems to be a popular style with women. And then these are a plus size as well. Okay, that's not supposed to be there. Now we're going to jump into some Grailed sales. We sold the Nike Dry Fit for $12. Remember, as you're watching these, our cost of goods is 99 cents on most items. Levi's $5.27, men's size 40. That's a good size. 20. 7 for All Mankind. These are bell bottoms. They're really cute. I think I've told you guys before, I like the look of bell bottoms. I don't think I have the right body type for them. But if I was tall with long legs, thin long legs, I would wear bell bottoms every day. $30 for 7 for All Mankind. But there's people who will tell you that 7 for All Mankind is poop. Not so. Ernest Sewn. I love Ernest Sewn. It is a really good brand. These had some damage. I'm trying to find the description box there. Can you tell I'm not as familiar with Grailed? Jeans have a small hole on the back left near the pocket. So I did disclose it in the description, and then we did show it in the photos. So these would have been listed for more towards 50. I believe I started them at maybe 45 or 40 because of the damage, and then we just took an offer. Pendleton, that's a brand that is, well, it's decent. When we first started, this was a sought-after brand. Their blankets still do really well. I will put that out there. If you can find those Pendleton blankets that everyone seems to always show as a bolo, those are great. The brand itself, as far as shirts, I mean, you can see this sold for $25. This is something that would have sold for $60 a couple of years ago. But it's still a good brand to pick up. We paid $2.49 into $25, so that's good. True Religion men's Billie jeans sold for $45. Billie relaxed boot cut. And I got some J brands for $25. This is a good brand. I usually start at around $35, but I do entertain offers. I start really high on the high end of comps because I want room to run sales, to do offers, to do what I need to do to make sales move. But I keep my prices where they are. I don't start lowering my prices and racing to the bottom. Keep them where they are, run the sales, do the offers, and hopefully when we come out of the other side of this, everything will still be worth what it was worth before. I think if you keep lowering the prices of brands, the mentality over time is the buyers will expect those brands to sell at those prices. But if you're just giving them offers and giving them sales, but keeping the original price high, and the economy flips and fixes itself, they can't expect it to always have those kinds of clearances. Does that make sense? If you have any questions, comments, concerns, let me know down in the comments. Go be productive. Go make some money. And as always, thank you so much for watching. Y'all are the best. Bye.